hard sitting on the floor as an almost 30-year-old. And yeah, I'm turning 30 in 2 months, and I thought it would be a really fun idea to go through the past 10 years of my artistic life. We're gonna do a bit of a blind reaction to what's in these things and show you my artistic journey from, I guess, second or third university, which I would have been 20 years old, to now. And I'll show you some of my current wood burnings and just the trajectory of how I got here. There is a whole full-form video on my story to becoming a full-time artist, so if you want to check that out, you can go ahead and do that. But this is going to be diving more into the transformation of my art practice, and I hope it makes sense, because honestly, looking at some of these things, it makes absolutely no sense to me why I made them. But yeah, hope you enjoy this one. Let's get started, shall we? We're jumping straight to 4th year university. So I was about 21, 22 when I did this. This is screen printed. It was actually installed in kind of this triptych. So I did quite a few of these prints, but I chose my best 3. And I went along and posted these up in a 3-panel installation with curtains that were hung alongside them. And these curtains were actually stolen straight from my childhood home and displayed in the gallery for a 4th year exhibition. Okay, this is fun. This is also a part of my printmaking journey. These were copper plate etching, and I actually believe I still have the plates, so I'm gonna go find those. My collection of copper plate etchings. Yeah, I don't really know why I thought it'd be a good idea to tape these, because the tape is really sticking to the copper plate, but I hand etched these bird feet into these copper plates, along with the text, which I wrote in reverse here. I etched with a really small little scraping tool. And then what happens is you grab the ink and you brush it onto this plate, then run that through the press with the plates on it, and that helped the ink transfer onto the paper. And I really loved this process. I think printmaking is definitely something I would go and do again one day. So yeah, this was a little mini series I did with bird feet and some idioms to go along with them that included feet in the name. I thought it'd be really funny to pair the two together. So things we say that involve feet. So did somebody get cold feet? You should jump in with both feet. This is probably my favorite one with that blue. You should jump in with both feet. The project was actually to involve an animal in some way, shape, or form and relate it to human nature. So here's my artist statement. In a search for idioms that we use in reference to feet, I found an interesting relationship between consciousness and decision making. Keep a foot in the door. Step in with 2 feet. Keep your feet on the ground. All 3 reference going feet first instead of head first. Is it a discussion that using our feet instead of our minds make for more bountiful decisions? Are we more courageous on our feet, or is our ability to use our feet more important than using our minds? I put these phrases in Notion alongside details of bird's feet, a bipedal beast. Just as we humans rely on getting things done with the strength of our 2 feet, the idea is to not think too much, just do. So, they make a great bathroom decor in my mom's current bathroom. I think we have some more prints here. This was the same class. These are a different type of print. It's still with copper plate, but it's, shoot, I'm gonna totally botch the name of this. I think it was like a lithography print, where this is actually from a photograph I took, and I turned that photograph into a stencil somehow. But these are actually shells. This is an oyster shell collection, and then these are mussels. And I titled it Supper because it was really inspired by my Portuguese heritage and the things that I would eat a lot as a child. Seafood. This is also from my 2nd year university. This is one of my very first sculpture courses. I actually hand sculpted these honeycombs using wax and the tip of a pencil that's kind of like a hexagonal shape. And I made these little beeswax face pieces that I adhered to my face and then poured molasses into the piece. And I got my friend Claudia to photograph the whole thing. This was such a messy project. I just remember being in this parking garage, taking these photos because the lighting was really nice and just being absolutely covered in molasses. But I'd say it was worth it. Some more still life. This one was interesting. I don't know what year this is from, but we had to draw with charcoal over top of the whole thing and then actually draw by erasing the charcoal. So some of these methods were really interesting. Thinking back on it now, I think they do help a lot with how I create art today, because wood burning, you do have to really think about positive and negative space a lot, and practices like this really made you think. These, I think we're going into first year territory. So just a lot of life drawings, which I love, and I would love to do a life drawing session again soon. And some more printmaking. I also love these pieces so much. These actually, I feel like kind of, I bring back similar concepts in my work now, where it's almost like merging memories and elements of nature together, which is interesting to look back on this actually. So this was all inspired by photos of not my trip, but my brother's trip to Newfoundland. And this was years and years and years ago. I took elements of these photos and merged them together. So I really was interested in architecture being mixed with nature. I got a little bit more organized with how I stored my work here, I guess. This is actually from post-university. I really got into these pencil crayon drawings on black paper. I love this piece so much, and how I got the reflection of the sky on the water. Something really nice and nostalgic about it. This is from the lake where I lived in Oakville. I think they're a really cute little series. Now we get into my mushroom territory. I'm gonna take these out of the way and show you probably one of the first pieces I ever did on document with mushrooms involved in it. This was a really interesting practice I did in one of my classes. And what we did was we had to take journals, magazines, notebooks, things like that, cut up all these different words and arrange them into poems. This one will come back. This phrase will come back with some later work, and I'll talk to you about it. But this is the strangest of places. It would take all of you to grow anything again. Yeah, we're gonna come back to this because this whole phrase, these mushrooms, actually became a pretty big body of work of mine. Now, I don't know what my plan was here. I think this is gonna make a comeback in one of my sketchbooks, but life drawing, 30 minutes. Hannah decided to put a piece of vellum over top and draw a poisonous plant over his private parts. Again, I really don't know what my concept here was, but I kind of went through this fascination in, I think it was in my 3rd or 4th year. I was really interested in toxic plants, and I did a big project on the lily of the valley, sorry. These are all toxic plants. This was actually the start of my little side hustle of selling my art. This is screen printing again, various different types of flowers and leaves and berries. And I just changed up the colors quite a bit. And I made quite a few of these. I think I made 30 or 40 of them. And I just posted them to my Instagram way back in the day. Probably 2020, no, maybe like 2019 or 2018. And sold them. So that was really fun. Thanks to everyone who has purchased one of these. What's in here? Now the gouache paints. Very similar trend with the florals and the color blocking. This was interesting color combination. I like these. I don't know how I feel about that. I like them separately, just not together, I think. I think this is really cool, just not with that. But I was experimenting, kind of playing on this vintage sort of flower textile type of thing, the designs that you see on like couches and pillows and curtains from a certain time period, and just playing with color blocking. Floral woodcut prints. More printmaking, because I really loved printmaking. I didn't hand carve these. I drew the design and then I got them laser engraved into a block of wood. And then you roll ink over top of the wood and run it through the press with a piece of paper and we get this. These pieces of paper I actually pasted on after the fact. So now we're really deep into the postgrad. I had no darn idea what I was doing, but I had acquired this air dry clay and I think I was maybe 24, 23 years old. And I found this clay and I thought, I wanna sculpt some mushrooms. Did a lot of these. And what I did with these is I pasted them onto my face and I tried all these different ways of making sure they stayed on my face. They're actually quite heavy and I think the only thing that ended up working was this double-sided fashion tape and a little bit of Photoshop. And this is what the result was. These were with copper wire. This is all during my residency at the Living Arts Center, Mississauga, and I was collecting these old picture frames from Valley Village and other thrift stores, and then sculpting a mass amount of mushrooms out of copper wire, and then installing these into the frames themselves and putting them up on my studio wall. As I was in the middle of making this installation, I actually got invited to an exhibition at the Gladstone Hotel in Toronto called Grow Up. And they host this exhibition every year. I'm not sure if they still do it, but this year's theme back in 2020 was weather. And the gallery curator for the Gladstone Hotel reached out to me and thought my work would fit pretty well with the theme. They had an open spot from the cancellation. I grew this body of work a little bit more. I included some sheet metal that I had oxidized with this vinegar solution that made it all rusty. And then I carved into it with an X-Acto knife. The same poem that I read to you earlier in this art share, in the strangest of places, it will take all of you to grow anything again. This was probably the last body of work that I made before I started to wood burn. This whole exhibition happened right before COVID hit. And if you watch my video there where I talk about my story as an artist, you'll know that I really went through a spell of not wanting to create at all. And it was at the end of 2020 that I started to wood burn. So now we can get into that and talk about the evolution of my wood burning art. So in my wood burning journey, it started with some more conceptual pieces like this where I was combining things like hands and mushrooms and florals, and then I was posting that to my social media and I started to get requests for things like pet portraits, and then I went into this kind of pet portrait landscape and was doing a lot of those back to back, along with things like charcuterie boards with these elaborate floral compositions, which I adored. And it really helped me just play around with compositions on different shapes of wood and different grains and different species. And this practice sort of slowly evolved and I started doing more complex work, started to wood burn on different types of utensils and more functional art. I was invited to do all sorts of projects, one of which was for the town of Oakville, this park bench I wood burned, and that one was a learning curve, and I'd love to talk more in another video. If you're interested, you can let me know about mistakes I made and the things I learned along the way with wood burning. Now that brings us to today, and I am just so incredibly happy and grateful for the journey that I've taken to figuring out my artistic style. And I feel like, you know, the portfolio I just showed in the beginning of this video, I feel like it was very all over the place. When I look at it, you might see something different, but I just felt so aimless back then of what kind of art I wanted to make and didn't know my artistic voice. And there were so many pressures in university to always create this like conceptual masterpiece that had to have some crazy concept behind it, and you had to explain everything to a T. Why did you use this material? Why are you using this subject matter? What does it mean to you? Of course, I still do something very similar to this day. Like, I can describe to you why I'm making certain pieces, but I feel like in many ways it really drained me creatively. some of that process throughout school, and you know, constantly was comparing myself to my peers, and I felt like everyone was making better stuff than I was, and just had this true direction of what they wanted to make, and I never felt like I had that when I was in university, and even afterwards I truly just felt aimless. It wasn't until I found wood burning and just started to go nuts on that and just dive into what I truly wanted to make, and didn't feel like I had to explain absolutely everything that I was doing and why I was making everything. When I started to do it for myself and not for a class, to get a grade, to get my professor's approval, get my peers' approval, to wow everybody, I was just creating things because my soul was telling me to make it, and I just started to let the process take over. That's when I felt like I truly found my artistic style. And maybe it sounds cheesy and really deep, but it's true. And I think that you have to find a space where you can just dig deep in yourself and think about, why am I creating? What do I want to create? If nobody was looking, if there was no audience, if I wasn't creating to post this or for a grade in a class, or because somebody gave me a guideline of what I had to make, what would I create if I wasn't put in this box of limitation? How would my practice evolve? I think that's what I see when I look back. I've slowly started to evolve more and step into more of this embodiment of what I love to create and what truly speaks to me as an individual. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you liked seeing the progression of my art over the years and my artistic style. And I know it was a little bit disorganized and chaotic inside that portfolio, but I told you we were going to do a blind reveal of what was in there. Of course, there is about a 20-year gap of my life that I did not cover, but I think that I've seen the biggest progression in my artistic style and my abilities, and figuring out what I want to do with my life. I think that all kind of really rapidly took place in the past 5 to 10 years. So there's that. Let me know if you liked this video, and if you have any suggestions of what you want to see from future videos, let me know. I'm Hannah Veiga. This is Alfie making a cameo, and we'll see you next time. Say bye to the people.